So we can think about, who cares about this stuff? Obviously, this has gotten popular. There's a lot of popular books written about behavioral economics nowadays, even by these same people who are doing all this research. Daniel Kahneman has a great non-academic book called Thinking Fast and Slow. Richard Thaler just recently came out with a book that's also very good, sort of personalizes the whole thing. It's a little bit of a biography in addition to teaching things. I can't remember what it's called.
Misbehaving.
Yes, it's called Misbehaving. I was like, I totally blanked on that. So there, obviously these books are doing very well. People are gaining a lot of interest. So obviously the interest in behavioral economics is extending just beyond the academic community, even though obviously researchers are interested. Marketers, for better or worse, are very, very interested in behavioral economics. And that's sort of what I would call the evil side of all this. Because, think about the purpose that you would want to have. If you're saying, I want to document how people exhibit systematic biases in the way they interact in markets, whether as consumers, as producers, whatever. You can say, I want to do this because I want to help people. Maybe I want to teach them. I want to show them, where their biases are and hope that they can learn to not be biased. You could be helpful in that way. You could think about this just from a pure understanding perspective. I want to be able to predict market outcomes, and I can't do that without a proper model of human behavior. You might think about this from a public policy perspective. Can I design markets in a way that would take these biases into account and make people better off? But you could also think about it in a marketing sense. How do I exploit these biases to get my customers to give me more money? And so all of these things happen. Not necessarily all of these things are good for consumers. But these are all things that are happening. And on the whole, even if part of the interest in behavioral economics is from marketing organizations that want to learn how to better exploit consumers, I think I would still take that, even though it's sort of a mixed bag, over people not paying attention in the first place. So at least we're learning, we're using information. And the flip side of that is the more we put information out there for marketing people, the more the consumers in the market also have that information that they can educate themselves on what they need to watch out for. So it's still a fair fight as long as everybody has access to that information. So here's a partial list of what we can expect to see. We're going to talk about most of these things, and you notice that there's a very diverse set of things. That the idea of behavioral economics actually encapsulates a whole bunch of different things. We're basically going to start at the upper left, talk about prospect theory and loss aversion, and then just move through here in a somewhat random fashion. That we're going to start talking about loss aversion, talking about why that matters, where it shows up in the world, what effect that has on markets. And then we're going to move through and sort of have a little bit of a tasting menu of the different ways people can behave what we consider irrationally in markets. And then we'll conclude, like I said, with a little bit of talking about behavioral finance and how we can apply what we've been learning here and what we've been talking about specifically to an analysis of financial markets.